No, you go first because the problem is with mine, I can't say it on the channel because it's not PG-13. It's like NC-17. It's horrible, but it's the worst job you could have anywhere.
I worked at a grocery store. A cashier at a grocery store might be the worst job. It is the worst job I've ever had, but it is down there on worst jobs you could possibly ever have. It's brutal. You don't mess with people who are buying food, right? That is that is rule number one of anything. And that is all those people do at a grocery store is buy food because it's a grocery store. And they're always angry for no reason.
Why was it the worst job though? Besides,
I didn't get paid anything. That's why. It was super low pay. I got hired at $7.25 an hour.
Oh oh my goodness.
Yes.
It's the worst job on top of thinking about the pennies you're making. You're like, I hate myself. I hate you.
Oh, yeah, it was bad, dude. It was bad. So you're not allowed to say yours on the channel.
All right, I'm gonna try to use it in the most. It's just horrible. So once upon a time in New York, on 42nd Street, there used to be these things called arcades. One were, one version of them they were for adults, and the other one's for kids. In my early 20s, I worked in an adult arcade, and
you cleaned the floors, didn't you?
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty brutal.
I'm gonna tell you honestly, man, like the way you start to look at things like hand-to-hand contact in that type of situation. Like I had one person try to hand me their money to get their tokens. I'm like, put the money on the counter, step away from the counter, and don't look me in the eyes. It was horrible, man.
Yours wins. Let's be fair. Yours wins.
Smell, Zach. I can't even tell you, man.
Well, it smelled a lot like bleach.
It did, but bleach with other stuff.
Gross. Gross, Steve. That is horrid. I am sorry you had to go through that. I hope it paid more than $7.25 an hour.
Actually, I got $10 an hour, which was big money back then. I think it's because of that job that I realized there's no job I can't do, and not be like, well, at least I'm not there. You know.
That's exactly how I feel about the grocery store. Hilariously enough.
Who was? I know you can't. I know you can't use names, but can you give me an example of what the worst interaction was you had there?
I don't know if I can give you the worst one. I could give you one for an example, right? And it's I saw the woman today while I was in there. This is what made me think about this. While I was in, so it's the grocery store that I still tend to prefer to shop at because it's right off the highway, right before I get home. It's in a convenient location for me. At one point I became a supervisor there at like the age of 18, which is incredible. I don't understand how this happened, right? Because as much as I'm an idiot now, I was way more of an idiot back then. So sales reset on Saturday night and a Sunday, right? Like every location does this. And on a Saturday, we had like a sale on produce or something, and the items were still there. And she came in asking for a rain check for the items that we quote unquote didn't have. And I refused. That's company policy. If we have the item, you are not to give a rain check on that item because it's there available for purchase, right? Rain checks are for things that aren't available at that time. So I didn't give a rain check. And she then called corporate, and I got in trouble for it. And I was like, okay. So I said to the manager, right? And I was probably even more outspoken then than I am now, which is, again, hard to believe. I said, okay, well, do you want me to follow company policy, or do you want me to, break company policy and just do whatever the customer says? Because I can easily just start selling everything to everyone for 99 cents, right? I was like, because that looks like the direction that you're heading with this. Because if the company policies are there for a reason, but then the reason is only when you want them to be, then okay, then I'll do that. And they're like, well, no, you should follow company policy, but in this situation, you should have done this. I'm like, okay, well, how am I supposed to know the next situation that I should have done this is a situation that gets me fired? And they're like, well, why does everything have to be an issue with you? Why is it never okay, then I was wrong? I was like, because I'm not wrong in this scenario. Right? To me, I'm still not. To me, it's still like, okay, well, what did you want me to do? Okay, well, that's not what I did, but this is what the company wants us to do. So to me, it's a fine line there, assuming, right? And I know a little bit better now, right? I probably still wouldn't have given the lady a rain check. There was that, and then the other interaction, it was like, I think within 3 weeks of each other, something like this happened where a woman came in for baby formula, right? Which is normal.
People have babies, that's normal.
Right. Completely normal, right? Completely fine. And then the formula that she wanted was getting discontinued in our location, and it was no longer on display. Okay. So I was like, you know, I said to her, I was like, you know, it doesn't look like we have any. I'll check the other spot where we have it. And we had it there. So then she called this, again, weird scenario, but the lady called corporate because at night the store is run by children, and then we refused to put her baby formula on display. Which after that I confirmed, you know, with the manager that it wasn't on display anymore, and they're like, okay, it's getting discontinued. And then again, I got the, well, why didn't you just help this lady? And I'm like, I did. I sold her the baby formula. You can, you know, check the records. You can do whatever you need to. I'm the one who found it, and I'm the one who sold it to her, right? Because at some point, baby formula has to be, it was age restricted or something for baby formula, and a supervisor had to sell it, and all this like rigmarole around baby formula because it's like the most theft item in a grocery store. So I was like, okay, I'm the one who did it. And they're like, oh, well, why are you never wrong? Why is the customer always wrong? And that is the day that I walked out. I was like, I don't know what you want me to do anymore. I went back to what I was doing, and then like, I don't know, like 15, 30 minutes later, I was just like, you know what, I'm done. And I went, and I was like, hey, I'm leaving. I was like, I'm never coming back. Good luck. And they're like, what? And I'm like, see ya. And I left. Because it got to a point where like it was clear that I wasn't going anywhere there, right? I wasn't advancing. I wasn't even being considered for advancement, even though I was, I would like to say I was good at what I did. I ran the floor or whatever. And it was always an issue every time something happened. And it just happened to be 2 within a short period of time. And I think that made that. Where did you go, Steve?
I am literally fighting for my life, and you're gonna laugh when you see the video of this.
Did you go the wrong way?
No, I went the right.
Ran the wrong way.
No, I am fighting like little creatures, and they are everywhere, dude.
So like it was clear that whatever, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore. It's not worth the stress of doing this for like, at this point it was like $10 an hour 2 years into this job. So I was like, okay, right, as a supervisor too, by the way.
That's the hardest thing about having a job. I remember when I worked at Dwayne Reed, and I worked for this old dude. Well, I mean, I worked for a company, but this guy, he was one of those bosses that just, you never understood what he was saying because it wasn't clear what he was saying.
Sure.
He's like, yeah, if you could just spend more time focusing on facing the shampoos. I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely faced all the shampoos. They're all facing forward. Literally, that's what that word means, facing. He's like,
no, yeah, I know.
He's like, I just don't know if you spent enough time doing it. And I'm just left with that look on my face like, what are you talking about, man? How much time do you spend putting things forward? No, that wasn't the worst job. It was just the worst type of person to work for, man. And I pray every day I don't become that old guy at any job where I just poop on young people all day long.
That's my dream. That's my life's dream. God, working at Blockbuster had to have been either one of the easiest jobs of all time or one of the worst.
So I was partying hard back then.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So it was like the hardest job ever.
Man. And then like no one would care because it's Blockbuster and it's a dying company, and they've known that since like the 90s.
I was that dude. They were like, "Oh, so Steve went out last night," and I'm like, "Yeah, I went out because I'm not stupid like you guys."
Dude, I'm the coolest one here, and I'm just over this entire like thing, guys.
And to make it even, I thought I was like a pseudo film buff. So I was just always talking trash about everyone's movie selection. Like, obviously didn't buy it in the Criterion. It's clearly right there on the box.
Oh man, past jobs are the worst, dude.
You know what's the worst, man? When someone brings up past jobs and I have to relive those memories. I just totally went back to that place in 42nd Street. I can smell it. I see the people again.
How long did you work there?
Not very long, man. I got fired. I got trashed, and I like told the boss off. I went out like an American.
Like, no, like a true American.
America. You know what? The crazy thing was, so I don't do well, or I didn't do well in jobs where everyone lived in fear of their boss. You know what it's like? You're this, oh, this guy is so scary. This guy is so tough. Because I almost inevitably just freak out on those people. And this guy was just like the weirdest little dude ever, man. I'm like, dude, you own a porn shop. You are not an like some aristocrat. You're a smut peddler.
You're a smut peddler.
Like,
I like that.
Because you sell a few DVDs. Like, how dare you take some moral stance?
There's also like a thing in this game that they added where if you hover it over, it has an item score next to it. So that's a good way to tell whether a gun is better than the previous gun that you had is with that item score.
So I think the next thing I really want to talk about is why you don't like Tom Clancy games, man.